talking to Reggie Miller. He's got Jazz Nuggets Thursday night at 10:30 Eastern. Finish this sentence. My biggest concern about lowering the draft age from 19 to 18 is what?
It's great for the Zion Williamson and maybe R.J. Barretts of the world. But I believe you're going to be getting, 2 and 3 star blue chip players thinking that they're ready, and a team drafting them for the future, and they end up being bust, and they end up not having the opportunity. I'm sure they can go back later and get their education, but to play college basketball. My 4 years at UCLA were unbelievable, and that experience. But times were different back there in the 80s and early 90s. I was drafted in 87. And when you came out after your junior year, you were looked like, oh, my God, he's coming out after his junior year. He really must be ready. And now we have guys who are 17 or 18 who are much more physically ready to play. If you look at Zion's body, I mean, he's got an NFL body. He could play in the NFL next year if he wanted to. So players are much more physically ready to play in the NBA at 18. I just hope from parents and maybe however you grew up and people around you push you into that NBA draft and you're not quite ready and you need a year or 2 or 3 or, God forbid, all 4. Now you're almost frowned upon when you go to college for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Now people think, what is wrong? What's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? I needed my 4 years at UCLA. Every summer playing against the Lakers and the pros, that mentally got me ready for 18 years professionally. And if it wasn't for those summers playing against Magic and Byron and Michael Cooper and them basically brainwashing me on how to become a professional basketball player, I don't know if I have the career that I had if it wasn't for those 4 years during the summer and those 4 years at UCLA.
Yeah, I don't worry about Zion Williamson and maybe R.J. Barrett or Cam Reddish. It's some of the other guys who are being told, because everybody thinks they can play in the league. You get a lot of people around you who are going to tell you that, and then you're going to bypass maybe 1 or 2 years in college, which can get you a little more ready for the league. Maybe if it could be mentally, maturing to be even. A lot of them have the talent, but you have to go in there and be able to be mature and handle being on the road and having money and women throwing in themselves. I mean, there's so much involved in it. I mean, you got guys who are 30, let alone 20, who have a hard time dealing with this. So I don't know how many players are going to make this jump out of high school. I'm fine with it. I'm okay because we allow it in all the other sports, just about, except for the NFL. And if you want to do it in the NBA, and that's what you think your job trait is and your skill, then fine, go ahead. I wouldn't want to stand in your way. I understand why the NBA doesn't want this, because you don't want to be babysitting a bunch of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds here in the league.
And the good things that the NBA has done now is they have the G League too, which I'm sure now will help promote younger players being able to two-way contracts, being able to go up and down. From the big club. It's almost like a minor league system. But also what we have to take into account is the financial restraint, too, of these younger kids. We don't know how they're growing up. A lot of these kids, at times, maybe they come from a single-parent household. They're living paycheck to paycheck, and this is the best way for them to, help their mom or their dad or their grandmother out. So I get it, and I understand it, and I can't fault them for that. We all can't grow up with a silver spoon and have the financial capabilities of not needing money. A lot of these kids don't, and I understand that, and that's why the big outcry is about the NCAA, is that these kids can't make money off their own likeness. But you can make it off my likeness, and that's what frustrates me about the NCAA.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.